Hey everyone, checking back in after the weekend of trading here, looking at Bitcoin, ETH, and Litecoin here, starting on the daily time frames for everything, and then we'll zoom in a bit. So Bitcoin here does have a bit of a double top that would have me very cautious if I were bullish in the short term, just because oftentimes after such a bull move, a double top is an indication where people look to take profit. So we have the all-time high of 1623 and now a lower high of 1610. And I'm watching the higher low pattern on the daily time frame. We've seen higher lows now consistently for the past 8 days in a row. So tomorrow we'll be watching the low of today to see if that pattern breaks. I'm also looking at the hourly time frame and it's starting to get a very key level here standing out, and that's right there. Look at all the bounces off of that support we had on the way up. We consolidated, then continued, and now we're right back to that level, and it's down at 1560. So personally, if I were in this trade and I were looking shorter term, I would exit if 1560 broke after that double top has already formed. There's also a potential bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern here, depending on if this bounce were to reject, and then the break of this neckline would be that 1560 level. So 1560, very key in the short term. If it were to break, the next level I'd be looking down at would be down here at 1525. You can see a base of support built down there as well before we were continuing to the upside. So break 1560 and the odds of forming a bearish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame. It looks like an inverted hammer is shaping up at this point. Inverted hammer is when you have a big upper wick and a small real body of the candlestick. But break that 1560 level, and the odds that this is what's going to form on the daily with that double top does become a lot more likely. Checking in on ETH, we've seen the most bearish action we've seen on ETH in the past couple of weeks over the past 2 days. And personally, I've been day trading it. At the end of the last video, I said I missed my trade. I hopped in still 20 cents higher than I wanted to, but ended up flipping it for $1.50. And I'm doing shorter term trades right now on ETH because we were so extended to the upside and because I was looking for some consolidation. So I've been bouncing around and just made another short term trade on a dump and a bounce this morning. And we'll point that out here in just a minute. The bulls are buying the dip right now. We do see a lower wick, which is a good sign for these bulls. I'm looking down at support of 88.20. And again, these are the levels in reference to the USD. So they do differ a bit than what's on GDAX, but 88.20 is support, and we bounce off of 88.11. So the bulls are defending just above $88. Let's look at the shorter term time frames, the hourly time frame. The trend changed on this big dump, and then from there we saw the bulls attempt to recover and then lower highs and lower lows. So what I was looking for, look at this signal on the 5-minute time frame. I love the RSI as a trader trading stocks. Look at what happens when you zoom back. What happens when the RSI dips below 30 on the 5-minute time frame for ETH? Look at the bounces. Do this on your own and look at every single time that happens. So I look at a chart like this and I see the pattern and I say, okay, if we dip below 30, that's what I'm looking to buy, and I'm very comfortable doing so, watching what has played out time and time and time again. So I just did that this morning on the all-out dump and looked for a bullish entry, got in, and not sure what the numbers correlate here. On GDAX, I got in around the mid $86 range, and it kept going down to the downside. I was in the red briefly, but I was not concerned at all because I saw these RSI levels, and I knew that a short-term bounce, at the least a short-term bounce, was coming in the near term, and it ended up being a much nicer bounce than anticipated, so locked in another flip for a few dollars to the upside. And now we're looking at a key resistance. The bulls want to get over 92.61 here, and that's because on the 5-minute time frame, that's where we've got multiple tops. And those multiple tops there to be watching. So a nice indication by one of our traders in the chat room today, where we were looking at daily previous resistance, now support. Look at the high here of 88.10. That was the high back on May 1st. So as we started dumping, we all start looking for support levels and say, okay, where are we going to see this bounce play out from on the 5-minute oversold RSI? And he found the high of that level, and on GDAX, it's at 85, and here on the ETH USD, it's 88.10. We bounced 10 cents above that key support, and here on ETH USD, we bounced 1 penny above that support, so we knew the support level to be watching. Some people got in on that oversold dump and saw a really nice bounce to the upside. Let's see the gains in the short term. It went from 88 up to 93 in a very brief amount of time. So an easy 5-6% flip, and that's if you nailed it. If you didn't nail it, you could still make an easy 3%, and that's, again, you'll never make a perfect trade timing the bottom and selling at the top. all we can hope to do is get some of that action to the upside, which certainly was possible on this dump here. So what I'm doing now is watching very patiently to see this resistance, to see if these lower highs and lower lows continue to form on the hourly time frame. I'm looking at 93.13 resistance. Anything lower than that is just another lower high. And considering we're coming off of another lower low, the bulls have to consolidate, form a higher low, and then see a higher high to try and reverse this hourly downtrend that has been in play since last night. So that's what I'm looking at for another potential re-entry. Still got funds coming in to my GDAX account, as I'm sure many other people do, trying to get in on this dip, but just being very patient because I do know how extended we are to the upside, and I'm not concerned with things exploding to the upside without me. I do have cash sitting in my account right now, so could certainly jump in if some kind of news event were to happen or anything like that. Litecoin here on the daily time frame, all-time high yesterday, up at 32.83. Now we're consolidating. We're still keeping the higher low pattern. Low of Sunday was 28.45. Low of today, 28.43. So actually I need to zoom in there because it does look like we broke that pattern by a penny or so. And that is the case, but that's right when the time change occurred over to make it a new day. So either way, this is healthy consolidation at this point. And what I would be watching here for this consolidation is the lower highs that are forming. And we're right at that downtrend resistance line. And I would also be watching I would watch this downtrend support line as well. And it's a bit of a wedge pattern here forming. I'm making sure no candlesticks are closing below the support and, support and resistance. And again, I have a free video on the YouTube page about where I draw my support and resistance lines, along with technical analysis in general, just a bunch of basic videos. So watching this hourly channel for Litecoin, if we get a bear break, I'm looking down at 26.18. And if we get a bull break, we're looking back towards the all-time high. And also 30.89 is also a resistance. Anytime the bulls try and make a bull move and get rejected, that's a resistance level to watch. And same thing, this would be a key support I'd be watching with these two long lower wicks down at this level. And that's down at 28.45. So a couple supports to be watching. Litecoin bulls are still in full control. We are seeing a bit of consolidation across these three names. Litecoin probably has undertaken the least amount of consolidation. Bitcoin right behind it, and ETH has consolidated the most. So tons of clear levels to be watching on the shorter term time frames. Going to continue checking back in as always. Appreciate all the comments. Lots of nice interaction on these YouTube videos. Thanks for all the likes and the shares. And the more people that watch them, the more I will continuously put them out. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.